Today we are moving on to a new lesson that will go along with what we have learned about perimeter, but it has a slightly different focus. We will be focusing on area of figures. Today's objective says students will be able to explore perimeter and area as attributes of polygons. We do have 3 new vocabulary words that we will look at for the day. Those words are area, unit square, and square unit. Let's start first with area. Area means the measure of the number of unit squares needed to cover a flat surface. Next, we see the term unit square. We have seen these before, but we need to now talk specifically about the definition. A unit square is a square with a side length of 1 unit. Now we understand unit square, so we can move on to understanding square unit. A square unit is the unit of measurement used to describe the area of unit squares. Oftentimes, square units are labeled by using a lowercase s and q as well as a lowercase u and n. Now that we have talked about those important definitions for the day, we can move on to the lesson where we learn more about area. For just a second, I want you to think about what we have been learning the past couple of days. We have been learning about perimeter, or the distance around something. You can think about this as measuring the length of all the walls of your bedroom and adding them together. That would be the perimeter of your bedroom. Today we are going to shift our thinking just a little bit and learn about how to measure the surface inside of the shape. So you could think about measuring the surface inside of your bedroom, or this would be a little bit easier by thinking about figuring out how much carpet is on your bedroom floor. The surface inside of an object is called the area. Let's understand this difference a little bit better by looking at a few examples. Here's the first one. We can see the gray figure on the slide. Let's figure out the perimeter of that figure. We can do that by counting or adding the side lengths. Today we're going to count. This one is pretty easy to just count those side lengths. Let's do that together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we understand that the perimeter is 8 units. Now, let's move on to understanding the area of the figure. Remember, we just barely talked about area being the surface of the inside of the shape. That means that we can count the area by counting the unit squares that are inside the figure. As we count those, we are going to label them in a different color. We're going to label them with red. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that we only counted each square within the figure one time until we counted all of them. So we now know that the area of this figure is 4, but we must label it with the square units because square units are the units of measurement we use to describe area. Now that we have tried one together and explained it pretty in depth, we are ready to try a few more examples. Here is the next figure. This time, we are only going to find the area of the figure. By looking at the figure, we can see that this is an irregular shape. But remember, we can find the perimeter of irregular shapes, so we for sure can find the area. We only have to count the square units inside of the shape. Let's do that together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, the area is 6 square units. I bet that you are getting the hang of this. Let's try 2 more. Here's the next figure. Let's count the area of the figure together. Remember, that means that we only have to count the square units inside of the figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we know that the area of this figure is 9 square units. The last example of the day is going to look a little bit different than the few we have done, but you are totally going to be able to do it. This is what the examples on your learning check will look like. This one might look a little bit confusing at first, but let me show you how we can easily do it. Right now we see a couple of things that are different. You already see something that says area. We have that there because the example wants us to check and see if we really know how to find the area. So it's saying, we think this is the area. How can you know if that is correct or not? Let's figure out how we can find out if this is correct or not. Right now we just see one big yellow figure that looks like it's open. We need to make it so that that has unit squares inside of it, and we can do that by connecting the dots just like this. Let's do that all the way around the yellow figure until we have all unit squares inside of that yellow figure. Now that we do that, we can check and see, is that area correct that the example already gave us? Let's count those yellow squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, there are 8 unit squares in there, so we do know that that was correct. The area of this yellow figure is 8 square units. Even though that one looked a little bit different, we could totally do it. Take your time on your learning check today and do your best.